Yes, thank you everyone for being here today for today's panel discussion on the key skills and education for the future, a youth-led intergenerational discussion. And this discussion session is probably brought to us by African Center for Economic Transformation, ACET, in partnership with MasterCard Foundation. So I would like to welcome everybody to this session, and I hope that we have an educating, informative, and interesting session and be able to achieve the goals set out today. My name is Salama Junaid, and I'm your moderator for today. Thank you. So I'll be introducing Mavis Owusu shortly to come and give us our opening remark. The executive vice She is the African Center for Economic Transformation is a think tank focused on supporting countries to develop and implement sustainable growth strategies that benefit its citizens and improves their well-being. Prior to joining ACET, Mavis was a director of investment at Power of Nutrition, where she helped to grow the portfolio from $40 million to $500 million. I think that's a huge one. So, and that was not just in Africa, it was both in Africa and Asia, two huge continents that she actually succeeded in doing that. Her other roles included being the director of program policy and quality for Save the Children United Kingdom, and 12 years as a private sector specialist at the UK's Department of International Development. Her last role at this place was as a deputy director and head of profession for private sector development cadre. Mavis is a Desmond Tutu Leadership Fellow, and she has an MPhil from the University of Sussex. Mavis is, like I said, is the executive vice president. So I'd like us to drop a virtual applause, or if you can unmute yourself and give her a round of applause as she comes to give us a very welcoming opening remark. Please, Mavis, I'm handing over the stage to you now.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone, wherever you may be, and welcome to ACET's first intergenerational dialogue. Today our topic is an issue I believe is one of Africa's most important issues. It's skills and education for the future. As the fastest growing and youngest continent in the world, every single president in Africa and their top team should make access to decent jobs and quality education for our young people their #1 priority. Now, most of the challenges we see today in the education and skills development sectors are really not new. They have been around for decades, and a lot of African and global experts, as well as technocrats, have tried a myriad of initiatives to try and address these challenges. Now, whilst we have made some progress, we have failed to achieve change at scale. And these old problems that we had are now compounded by rapid improvements in technology, which in our case seems to be costing us instead of benefiting us. But let me not be too pessimistic and start with the progress that we have made to date. Between 2000 and 2020, we saw access to primary education on the continent more than double from 90 million to almost 185 million. Access to secondary education has almost tripled from 24 million to over 68 million. Access to girls' education at the primary level has increased from 75% to 97%, and at the secondary level, girls' enrollment increased from 23% to 41%. And at the tertiary level, we've seen girls' enrollment increase from 4% to 8%. Alongside this, we have seen literacy rates improve from 69% in 2010 to 77% in 2020. And we're also seeing more girls in STEM. UNESCO recently found that 47% of STEM undergraduates and postgraduates from African universities were women. Now, finally, we are also slowly but surely moving to improve access to digital innovation. So in 2030, 30% of the population in sub-Saharan Africa had access to the internet, and over 40% of the population on the continent had subscribed to mobile services. Aside from that, we have leapt ahead of other regions to become the center of mobile money. Despite all of this progress, at ACET, our biggest frustration is that young Africans are competing with their counterparts in other regions and countries where progress has been a lot faster. Our progress in Africa is not enough to prepare us for our fast-growing population and the rapidly changing workplace they have to go to. And also our desperate need to realize a demographic dividend soon. As a result, our supply of skills does not match market demand for skills today, let alone for tomorrow. And unless our current educational systems and policies can effectively and efficiently prepare our young people for the job market, our rapidly growing youth bulge is a ticking time bomb. And that is something we should be worried about. But today's conversation makes me hopeful. Young Africans are taking these challenges into their own hands, and through innovation, research, and advocacy, are proposing ways in which these and other challenges on the continent can be addressed for the betterment of the future. Their commitment can be seen by the number of young people from Africa and across the world who have joined us today to share their ideas on how to make changes. I am also encouraged to see policymakers, business leaders, and other guests, my age and beyond, who have come with open minds to listen to what young Africans have to say and to share their own experiences of what they have seen work, what doesn't, and what has yet to be tried. This powerful combination, I believe very strongly, can lead to something big. But let me start by setting the stage for today's discussion and taking you through how we got here. Last year at our Africa Transformation Forum, we discussed the findings of our 2021 Africa Transformation Report, Integrating to Transform. I would appreciate it if one of my colleagues could share a link to the report in the chat for colleagues who are online today. One of the issues discussed at the forum and addressed in the report is how do we ensure Africa's youth have the skills to be decently employed in the 21st century? In our report, we found that 3/4 of entrants to the labor market in Africa are projected to either work in self-employment or in micro-enterprises. And we all know some of the weaknesses around micro-enterprises on the continent. We also found that some 20% will work for wages in the service sector. So they will be in jobs such as teaching, hospitality, and retail work. Only 4 to 5% will find a formal wage paying job in industry. But more alarmingly, we project that just 100 million of the 450 million Africans who are expected to reach the working age between now and 2035 can hope to find a well-paid, decent job. We concluded that at the moment, most African graduates at all levels, secondary, university, primary, are missing out on job opportunities, mostly due to a mismatch or a lack of skills. Whilst a number of these graduates are well-educated and technically competent, these skills are no longer sufficient. Students today also need to be computer literate, and they need to have leadership, communication, problem solving, and other soft skills to navigate the world of work. With an equal access to digital infrastructure and an equal access to high quality schooling, there is a wide gap for a lot of young people between the skills taught in their schools and those demanded by employers. At a time when the number of motivated, dynamic, innovative young people on our continent is growing, we seem to be failing to harness them and give them the tools they need to thrive. At the ATR, Well, in the ATR and at the ATF, we also dealt with issues such as climate change, innovation, and regional public goods. And since the Transformation Forum, we have had a number of deep dive conversations on climate and innovation. And we've ensured the young people were part of those conversations as part of a commitment I personally made at the ATF that ACET's work will have the voices of young people at the heart of it. So today we want to discuss skills and jobs, but we want to do it differently. We don't want to offer you our solution at ACET and just ask your views. We are here today to listen to you, Africa's future leaders and elders, and to learn from you, your ambitions for your future. We are also here to facilitate a dialogue between policymakers and young people. We want you, as the young people who are affected by this issue, to talk to policymakers and technocrats working on the solutions. And I am confident that this intergenerational dialogue will inspire and help identify solutions to these problems. There is an old African proverb that says, the youth can walk faster, but the elder knows the road. Well, let's combine these two strengths as young people and as elders to achieve our goals at a pace that we need. We cannot transform as a continent, economically or any other way, if our young people cannot gain access to decent jobs. To do this, they need the right skills and the right job opportunities, and they need the right environment so that our young, budding, and dynamic entrepreneurs can succeed. So once again, my sincere thanks to the leaders, policymakers, and industry players who have come to hear what our young people have to say. And to our young champions, please don't hold back. Take this opportunity to share your ideas, your vision, your hopes, and your frustrations. I have a 7-year-old, and he always reminds me, Mommy, because I'm young doesn't mean I cannot do something. And I'm always amazed by how much he can do. And he even saves me money on occasions. Last week, I couldn't work one of the ACs, and I was going to call the electrician to come and look at it. He said, Mommy, let me try. I was like, So I gave it to him. Guess what? He fixed it. I didn't call him the electrician. So we are here to listen to you because we know you know how to help us find a way forward. But let me close by thanking the MasterCard Foundation for partnering with us on this event and for their commitment to support ACET's work on youth employment and skills. They are really supporting our agenda on intergenerational dialogue, not just on this, but we hope on other topics in the future. And I'd like to thank our fantastic team at ACET and our wonderful partners who have worked so hard to make today's event possible. I look forward to an exciting discussion. And once again, thank you very much. Over to you, Salama.
Thank you very much for that wonderful welcoming opening remarks. And I was able to pick some things concerning what ACET is for and what we are to gain from today's discussion. So also, according to Mavis, she mentioned the African Transformation Report on 2021, where she said there was a projection of 100 million out of 450 million people who are expected to be part of the working age in 2035, that only this 100 million would actually boast of having a well-paid job. So you wonder what happens to the remaining 350 million youths that are actually supposed to be part of the working age. And then it's become so much, statistically, we have like 80% of youth actually being employed in low productive and informal sectors. So what's the way forward? At African Center for Economic Transformation is an institute that is actually, suited to change things, and they believe that transformation needs to happen to move Africa as a region forward. So we're going to play a short video in order to introduce you to what ACET is, who ACET is, the purpose and the drive for the institute.
Africa has made incredible gains, but it takes more than growth to sustain progress and ensure long-term development. It takes transformation.
For Africa, transformation means strong growth that enables us to diversify our economies, compete globally with a broad export base, improve productivity and generate jobs for our growing population, and use technological advancements to enhance our effectiveness. Most importantly, it must secure the well-being of every single African. The African Center for Economic Transformation is an African-led, African-driven economic policy institute based in Ghana with an African mandate and a global reach.
ACET focuses on the issues most critical to addressing Africa's transformation. Issues like jobs, education, and skills for young people, private sector development, regional integration beyond trade, innovation, climate, economic management, gender equality, and more.
ACET's core products and platforms define transformation on African terms. They analyze and inform, but they also bring our partners and stakeholders together to share ideas, learn from each other, and accelerate progress.
We're a growing team of committed and experienced economic policy experts, researchers, and advocates working across Africa and around the world.
We are ready to contribute to building the Africa we want.
I would like to invite Mona Idrisu up to the stage for the scene setting. We're going to have a very long and educating and informative session, but actually we need to set things right before we move into the panel discussion. So Mona will be coming up shortly to discuss, to help us with the scene setting. But before that, I would like to introduce her because, according to the popular African adage, you need to give honor to whom honor is due. So Mona is an international development expert and economist with extensive work experience in research and generating evidence-based learning across various sectors relevant to youth, including youth employment, job creation, entrepreneurship, education, 21st century skills development, youth governance, agriculture, and technology. She has a master's in development economics from the University of Manchester and has an MPhil in evidence-based social policy from the University of Oxford. She currently works as the head of youth employment and skills at the African Center for Economic Transformation, ACET, who are the proud, today's discussion is one of their initiatives. So I'm going to give the space and the mic to Mona to help us do a bit of scene setting, but please kind of have the virtual applause for Mona as she comes up on stage. Thank you, everyone. I'm waiting for our virtual applause. Mona will not speak if you don't applaud her. Thank you. So Mona, please.
Thanks everyone. I'm already feeling the energy. I know it's going to be a great discussion. I'm sure you all feel the energy already. I have a speech written up, but at this point, I think we're all really eager to get into the conversations that we're looking forward today. And I should say, thanks to Mavis's brilliant opening remarks, a lot of the content is already covered on how we got here in the first place. So over the last couple of years, in partnership with Mastercard Foundation, here at ACET, and particularly our Youth Employment and Skills team, we have generated a body of work looking at both what we call the demand side, so the side of job creation, and the supply side, which is skills, education, and really how do we bring these two sides together to ensure that we're preparing our young people for the future of work and making sure that young people have the skills that they need, both for jobs now and for future jobs. I mean, we all see how rapidly technology is changing jobs. We have jobs now that didn't exist. For example, bloggers. It didn't exist 10, 20 years ago, but we have jobs that are being created by rapid evolution of technology. So we need to make sure that we're preparing young people for such jobs. Now, what we're looking to do today, because in all of our work, it's become clear that the young people that we're trying to formulate policies for, unfortunately, are missing when we are having discussions around policies that affect them even more, right? Because our youngest participant today, who is 12 years old, by 2050 is still going to be 40 years old. And by 2050, we're going to have about 850 young people on the continent. And we'll be well into being the youngest continent on the planet. So you see, everything we're discussing here continuously affects the young people. So today's event is our first of many to come, fingers crossed, where we're going to have young people leading the conversation and telling us what their lived experiences are, what their insights are, and you know it better than we do. We exited the education system years ago, so you're going through it now. I'm counting on you to come with your experiences, come with your lived insights and tell us. And also the policymakers we have as audience today, tell us, do not hold back. And we look forward to hearing from you. Each session will start with a group of young people sharing their insights on the selected sub-theme. We will then go into having our designated policymaker or key stakeholder. And these, I don't want to say older generations, but yes, this is an intergenerational dialogue. So our older generation will come in and also give us their reflection. We will then have an open floor Q&A, and it's truly open floor, okay? So we're looking to hear your comments, your questions. Again, keep the energy. This is meant to be a dialogue, a conversation. And so we're looking forward really to having a very interactive event. So thank you all. Thank you to MasterCard Foundation. Thank you to our partners who we wouldn't have been able to get all these young people into one virtual room without them. So thank you so much. And thank you to our panelists today and to my colleagues at ACET who have worked tirelessly these past weeks to put this together. Grateful to all of you, and over to you, Salama. I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you very much, Mona. And the key word is please do not hold back. We need your ideas. We need your perspectives. You know, let's come at a conclusion. We need for us to transform. We need everyone's perspective. What you think and why you think this way, what do you think the solution would be. Today, we're also lucky to have the older generation, like Mona said. These are the policymakers, the industry players who can, listen to what you have to say. They have their own contribution and can also help, in ensuring that everything you have to say is being heard and things change for the best. So we still having issues getting the video up. So I think we'll move swiftly to start our first panel discussion. So I would like to introduce our panelists for the first session. Our first session is themed Bridging the Gap Between Skills and Knowledge. And if you listen to Mavis when she spoke, she said something about currently we have a wide gap between the skills that we need and the knowledge we get from school. And even for the future, for now we have this wide gap. Do we think we will be able to bridge this gap by the next 10 years, 20 years? So we want to listen to what this set of people have to say concerning bridging the gap between skills and knowledge. So I will start with Rachel Saki. Rachel Saki is an advocate for Curious Minds Ghana. She's currently in senior high school and she's studying home economics. She hopes to become a nutritionist or a psychiatrist in the future. Rachel, please, can we see you? So we'll move next to other panelists. In person of Bello Olakeo Abdusalam, who is an award-winning youth development coach and sustainable development goals advocate. He's very passionate about addressing global health, educational and environmental challenges through research, innovation, and advocacy. He's a director of the Future Scholars Network, a forum of young scholars dedicated to developing the next generation of scholars. He is a graduate of Ahmadu Bello University, Nigeria, where he studied medicine. So I would like to introduce Amina Jaite, who is the third person that's going to be on the panel today for this first session, Bridging the Gap Between Skills and Knowledge. Aminata is a graduate from the University of the Gambia. She has a BSc degree in Development Studies, and she has over 5 years experience in civic leadership. She's currently the program officer of the Girls Agenda, a feminist organization, and she's also currently a member of the Youth Stacks team under the Youth Opportunity and Transformation of Africa. Aminata, please, if you're here, can we see you? Can we hear you?
Hi, everyone. It's good to be here.
Hello. Nice seeing your face. Thanks for joining us, and we appreciate your presence today.
Thank you. Looking forward to an interactive session. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. So also, the last but not the least person that will be joining today's first session is Ogushola Olufemi, who is a product of the Baptist College of Theology in affiliation with the Nigerian Baptist Theological Seminary. He's also a member of the Africa Youth Team, a youth coordinator of Youth Movement of Nigeria. He is currently a lecturer at Michael Olowore College of Theology. So welcome once again, Rachel. Welcome, Aminata, and we're still waiting for Ogushola Olufemi and Bello to join us as soon as they can. And the discussion for this session is bridging the gap between skills and knowledge. So I'll start with you, Rachel, currently in high school with the hope of becoming a nutritionist or a psychiatrist in the near future. Do you think that, do you feel that the skills you need in this vision of this fields you would like to work in, do you think these skills are currently being taught to you while being in school?
Yes, please. Like that is why I chose home economics, because the home economics we do the management living, the biology aspect, and the food and nutrition. So yes, I think like it is helping me, and they're teaching the right subject too. Yeah.
And do you think that cuts across almost all future? Do you feel like most of the school courses, the curriculum, do you think that the skills being taught there actually covers for most of the jobs available in your community?
No, please. Because, okay, let's say sometimes somebody wants to be a doctor, and then, somebody wants to be a fashion designer. But then, like nowadays, the subject that are being taught in school is all about the book, no practical aspects, and then it tends to children being dropped out of school because they don't have any interest in that that subject or like that courses that are being taught. So I don't think like some of the courses that are taught matches to what people tend to like in a community. So in a community.
Okay, thank you for that. So you believe that some of these courses do not have the necessary skills, or the skills that are needed are not being taught enough in school?
Yes, please.
Getting into the labor force. Is that what your opinion is? Aminata, as a graduate, you've been through, as Aminata now. Thank you very much, Rachel. Aminata, as a shows that you've been in this civic leadership prior to graduating from the university, because you graduated in 2019. Do you think that, do you agree with Rachel that some of this, the curriculum do not, encompass the skills necessary for you to, succeed in the labor market in Africa? Hello, Aminata, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay. So it is just because it's similar to what she said. Like the problems we have as Africans are quite similar in several ways because of our commonalities. So if you look at the case of the Gambia, for example, I went to University of the Gambia. So, but most of the courses that I was taught in were more of theoretical courses. And even with that theory, it doesn't align with the existing realities of of our country. You learn more about Western cultures, Western ideologies, issues around their history. So it's like you learn little about the existence of our realities here. And personally, I was not exposed to practical experiences or practical sessions, although I had lessons that I was able to connect existing realities with my school. But actually, the system does not prepare you practically for the job market. What made it lucky, what made it easier for me was when I was going to university in my third year, I started volunteering for this organization that I am working for. So finding a group of young women who were very experienced in the civil society sector was something that really exposed me to the existing realities and made my job fit for purpose. But for the educational system, this is the case with several people in the Gambia, and personally, I'm an existing reality. And there are a lot of people that go to school until they finish. Actually, they cannot even practicalize what the skills that they have learned in school. Even simple skills when it comes to technical skills or practical skills, they cannot do it because of the educational system. The curriculum does not align with existing realities, and things that people are interested in, especially practical skills, are not being incorporated into the curriculum that we currently have.
Okay, thank you for that great perspective according to the skills that are needed, the practical skills. So both of us, Rachel and yourself, agree that the practical skills are lacking, and you also believe that that should be something that should be worked upon. Okay, but you also said that one of the reasons why you're able to fit into where you're working right now is because you started volunteering right from the university. So do you think that, this is quite like an addition, so do you think that most of your peers who maybe did not have the opportunity to volunteer while in school, do you think they often settle for the jobs they get, and most times they do not, is these jobs are not what they necessarily would like to do? That's to you, Aminata.
Yes, because like most times, what happened is, in the case of the Gambia, we have a lot of youth that volunteer, but there are a lot of other people, for example, that just graduate from senior school and just goes to the university system. So for the case of those people, they find it extremely difficult to connect existing development issues to the university education that they are doing. For elderly people that had the experience in working or volunteering before, when those people come to the university, for example, as elderly students, those people can find it easily to connect. But for my case, I just finished from senior school, then I just transitioned to the university the following year. And you have a lot of students like me in the Gambia. So mostly people are more serious about volunteer work when maybe they are at tertiary levels, or maybe when they finish from senior school and they start volunteering for certain organizations. But the education system puts us in a way that we are so much into grades. We are so much into how much do I get at the end of this examination? How much do I get? Do I get an A+? Do I get an A-? Because this is what competence is linked to. This is what success is being linked to when it comes to our educational system. So even when you're in senior school as a young person, you don't actually prioritize volunteering or getting those hard skills that you need. Personally, when I was in senior school, I wasn't serious about volunteering because all my interest was in how much grades do I get? How many passes do I get? How many A+ do I get? And this is something that a lot of us are being made to believe, that success comes out of the grades you get. So at the end of the day, you find people reading, cramming, or actually forcing themselves to get an A grade without actually understanding the context of that particular course, or without actually practicalizing the context of that particular course. So it is always very difficult for people to fit into the system, especially when they don't have that practical experience in fieldwork or in technical fields that they want to fit themselves in. The educational system puts us in a corner that makes us to believe that success only comes from working in an office, success only comes from getting an A+, success only comes from being one of the top in your classes. And that is only determined by grades and not what the competence of that person is.
Thank you very much for that. Perspective on that. I want to find out, Bello, please, are you here now?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, welcome very much. Welcome, Milo. So, are you okay? So, I would like to direct the next question to you concerning, bridging the gap between soft skills and knowledge. So, you are also a graduate you graduated from Affordability University. So, you probably have, you've gone through school. But I want to ask you that. So, are there do you feel that there are major barriers that stop you from learning what you want to learn and the job opportunities that you like? So, being a graduate of human medicine and currently into volunteering, NGO, do you think there was any barrier perhaps that probably stopped you from, continuing or using whatever you studied in school as a kind of, as a job occupation when you entered into the labor force? Because we see it in most cases whereby some persons will study something differently in school, and when it gets to the labor force, they're unable to find something.
I can't repeat yourself.
Entirely.
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, but I couldn't hear you before. Please, can you please?
Okay, so in summary,
yourself?
what I was trying to ask you is that, do you think, or what do you feel that the major barriers that prevents people from, from getting occupation that aligns with the skills that they've learned in school? So in cases like in points, maybe you learned, maybe you're a microbiology student in school, but after school, you're unable to, you're not in the lab, you didn't get a job in the lab, you have to, get some other jobs to do, because like I said, the statistics say that 80% of youth are employed in low productive and informal sectors. What do you think are the exact barriers to this?
Actually, one of the barriers that's confronting currently, because I was born and brought up in a local community, is because we lack access to information about opportunities. I can give an instance. I think last year I did a research and I was planning to present it at the conference of Nigeria Medical Research Institute. But because I was expecting them to release the information, because I contacted the management of the institute that I have a research to present, and I was told that they are going to, whenever the conference is fast approaching, they are going to notify us on their social media. But despite that, I was constantly checking their social media, but still I missed out the opportunity because why? Because they didn't even post anything about the conference on their social media. So it's after the conference that I now realized that some of my mates got to present their research work. So basically, one of the major challenges I'm facing currently is lack of access to opportunities. Thank you.
Lack of access to opportunities. Thank you very much for that summary. Lack of access to opportunities. So despite going to school, having the skills, there's still a lack of access to opportunity in order to utilize the skills that have been learned. Thank you very much, Bello. So Rachel, this question. So we talked with Aminata, and then she explained how she has been able to get up some skills way before graduating from school. So where are the other places you think that your fellow peers, yourself, have gone to in order to get skills that might be needed for the labor force aside from the classrooms?
Okay, so because I joined the Curious Minds Ghana, and I am a young advocate for it. So we go for workshops every month sometimes, and then sometimes to like when you have problems, or sometimes when I have problem, I go to the finance, or the people in the club. So sometimes like the subject that are taught in school is not all that good, and sometimes too you don't understand. So it's either you have this internet connection that you go to Google and search about it yourself, or you ask for people. Yeah, so that's why I do mine. But for my friends, yeah, I think most of them go to the cafe nowadays. So sometimes too, they also ask me. So if I don't know, then I consult the people I know they will help me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So using the internet, well, we quite know that we are not so we do not have so much of great internet connection, as we can even see evident by challenges so fast since this network started. So if we do not have internet connection, what else do we rely on to get the skills that we need that we can't get from the classroom? Thank you, Rachel, for your contribution. And I would like to find out, Ogushola Olufemi, please, are you settled for us to talk now? Because we would like to round up this and move to the next part.
I'm set to talk now. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much. Are you sure you're not connected on two devices? I think I'm echoing at your background.
I'm using only a device.
Okay. Okay, fine. I think we can manage that because I think I can hear you. So you're currently lecturing at Olowere College, a theology school. So I would like to ask, do you think that what you currently do as a teacher, do you think the skills that you needed as a teacher were gotten via being in your school, were gotten during your days as an undergraduate, or perhaps were things you had to learn on your own?
Let me start with this. That I didn't get it when I was in school, because what I teach about the education system is the problem of it. Many of us, we majorly build the skills, but forgetting about the interest. The interest that I have right from the onset when I was in school, that is what I am following. And that is what is, because the interest is to help others for life. But what am I saying? It is not that I got when I was in sports. The interest that I developed has kept me moving on to don't even believe what is all about interest. And that is what I want to say, because interest matters. It is not the issue of the skills or the knowledge, but the issue of interest. It is your interest, it is your interest that will make you to identify your skills. It is the interest of me being a lecturer that make me to identify my skill, and I begin to develop that skill, reading about the people that have been in lecturing, what have they acquired, how did they become what they become in lecturing line. Now, I want to submit that it is not the issue of skills and knowledge, but the problem we are having is the issue of interest. What is the area of your interest that matters? Thank you.
Thank you for that. But I would like to give a follow-up question. So you said it's an issue of interest. So do you think that the average African youth have not been able to identify their interest? And if you think so, why do you think they've not been able to identify their interest even as a university level?
Thank you. Let me start from the primary school level.
Please,
because
would like
we are talking about,
give us a brief summary, because we want to move on from here. So thank you.
Yes, I will give you an example. For instance, a case that happened at a particular university in Nigeria, when a graduate went back to the school and said, I want to return my certificate, give me the money that I've paid you. That is the pressure he put on the school management. Now, the question is it the fault of the man or the fault of the school? You see, we're supposed to identify or discover the interest of a child from the primary level. Now, when he got to secondary school level, he will be able to acquire more information about his interests. Now, getting to tertiary institution, now skill can be developed on the area of his interest. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ogeshola. Thank you, Aminata, and thank you, Rachel. Also, a big thank you to Bello for joining us and this this session talking about bridging skills and knowledge. We would like some of the older generation to put in a bit to what we've been discussing so far. So I would like to introduce in person of Mr. Martin Wandera, who is the Ugandan social and labor economist with over 25 years experience in senior leadership and managerial position. He's currently the Director of Labor, Employment, Occupational Safety and Health in the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development of the Republic of Uganda. He has publications which include a book titled Employment Outcomes of Trade between Uganda and the European Union. Hello, Mr. Martin. Hello, can you please put on your video? Let's hear you. Good day, sir. Nice to have you join us on this platform.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this very interesting discussion on the issue of employability skills. I associate myself with a number of remarks that have been made by previous speakers and would like to complement what they have said by stating the following.
Okay,
one, if we are talking about skills, we need to disaggregate skills into 4 components. There is what is called the basic or foundation skills, and this includes literacy and numeracy skills, the ability to read and write. It's the foundation of skills acquisition, because if you can't read and you can't add, you cannot acquire skills. Or if you do, there will be a deficiency. For example, if you're a carpenter and you can't take measurements, it will be a problem. If you can't communicate what you want to do for your client, it will be a problem. The other component of skills is the vocational technical skills. And these are the skills or knowledge or know-how needed to perform specific tasks. Because for every job, certain skills are required. Then there's another type of skills which some call personal professional skills, and refers to individual attributes that impact on work habits, such as honesty, integrity, and work ethics. Then finally, another component of skills is what is called the core work skills. And this includes the ability to learn and adapt, the ability to read, write, compute, listen, communicate, think creatively, solve problems independently, manage oneself at work. You can be a very good engineer, but if you can't manage yourself at work, you will not deliver. Be able to work in a team, because at a workplace, you must be able to work with others. Now, having said that, I would like to add that because of the fact that change is the only permanent thing in life, work processes keep changing because of changes in demand for goods, changes in technology. And therefore, the technical skills keep changing depending on the type of job that is required and the technology that is in currency at a particular time. But certain skills will not change. For example, numeracy and literacy will be required. They were required yesterday, they are required today, they are required tomorrow. And that's why preeminence or importance in all our countries should be placed on primary education. In some countries, called elementary education. We must make sure that when the 7-year-olds, the 6-year-olds, when they come to school, when they complete primary, they are able to read and write, and they are able to engage in basic numeracy. because that is the foundation. Even if they dropped out of school at that point and they want to go into a vocation or they want to return to school later, if they have that foundation, it becomes easy. Then, regardless of the technology that is required for work, if you are not honest, if you lack integrity, if you lack work ethics, if you're a bad listener, if you can't communicate, whether you've gone to Harvard or to the University of Ghana, to the best technical college, you will not be able to succeed. Now, the third point that I want to raise, and which one of the previous speakers raised, when we are looking at skills, we should not only look at skills as the problem for the youth employment challenge in Uganda, because skills is on the supply side. The labor market is made up of the demand and supply sides. Now, as some young person said earlier, there are many people who have very good skills, but do not have opportunities. So while we discuss the question of skills, we must also discuss how we can promote the creation of employment. And that therefore calls for job-rich growth strategies. We need economic policies that promote high growth rates and high employment intensity. Now, I want to give the young people who are listening, the youth, comfort. No education is useless. I'm concluding. Yes, no education is useless. Because what education does, it teaches you to learn how to learn. So the gentleman who carried back his university degree to demand for money, he just doesn't appreciate the value of the education he received. Because if you go to university, you cannot expect to learn everything in the workplace. But what university education does, or any form of education, is open up your mind and teach you to learn how to learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. And I think you had a bit of network issue. Well, we'll be moving next to someone else we want to get his perspective from the private sector. And just in case we have to run up to finish, I'm going to go to Mr. Midu, who tackle in Miami, Niger. He's interested in youth empowerment, and he's going to be joining us to give us a bit of a private sector perspective. So I'm going to pick on something. I don't know, Mr. Husseini, please can you let us see you and let us hear you? Hello. Okay, I'm not sure. I don't think he's here yet. Maybe he has some delays. Okay, just to round off this session, I was going to direct a question to Mr. Husseini, but I can't find him there. So actually ask Mr. Martin again, and please, we need you to help us summarize this in the next 1 to 2 minutes. So you said something about us, trying to get more job creation. That's not just about skills, that there's also a need for there to be a demand. But we also know that there's a discrepancy about how much of skills people have, and even the available jobs that we have. Because of that available jobs, people still can't fit into this available job, even though we know that Africa still has much to do about job creation. So what do you think is the way forward concerning job creation, ensuring that people have skills that meet up with the jobs that are being created? And then we've gone past the ages whereby there are certain jobs that only people look out to. When Mona was speaking, we now have people who hope to become bloggers, who hope to become on-air personalities. Because, there was sometimes in our young age, or when we're younger, it looked more like these jobs were not the things in vogue. But we're moving fast towards an era whereby a lot of jobs are coming into the labor market. So that's a way of creating jobs. But when you talk about that, the fact that we do not have jobs right now, and we also believe that we do not have enough skills gained in schools and the likes just to meet up with those jobs. Then another important thing you said was that the ability to learn to read and write. Where do we learn to read and write? What is that essential thing that has to be in the education curriculum that will prepare us as youth that for coming to the labor force in order to withstand or stand into any area of the labor force market, to have the skills? How do we learn to read and write? Do we think that the education curriculum is not doing enough? Because we see graduates that are unable to even speak good English or communicate very well, despite being taught in English in school in Anglophone countries. So we want to understand, what do you think can be done in that area whereby there will be enough job creations and the skills of reading and writing would also be well harnessed during your education period? Mr. Martin, please can you help us answer this in the next 2 minutes so we can move on? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to say that Africa's biggest problem is shortage of jobs. And therefore, we need to pursue economic policies that promote high economic growth, but also employment. And to achieve this, a number of things have to be done, which include the following. Number one, employment creation must be mainstreamed in all government policies and programs. For example, if there is going to be a road infrastructure project, many times the objectives of the project or the performance indicators, the M&E indicators, do not include the number of jobs that are created. That should be designed within the project, so that at the end, if you're monitoring the performance of such a project, it is very clear that yes, a road was constructed, but how many direct jobs, indirect and induced jobs were created? Two, we know that jobs are created by the private sector. So what is it that we can do to promote the private sector so that goods produced in Africa can compete with goods in China? When I move around Africa, you find African economies.
Can you help us round up? Yes.
Pardon, am I clear?
Yes,
can you hear me?
Just want
yes.
You to help. Yes, thank you.
Yes, we import goods that we can produce back home. Reason is that the environment is not conducive for small enterprises and medium enterprises now in the economy. There is very high credit, and therefore, if you borrow at high interest rates, you produce goods at a high cost and they can't compete. Two, we don't protect our infant industries and we do not promote local consumption. For example, you'll go to many government offices around Africa and all the furniture is imported from Malaysia and Singapore. How then will our wood manufacturing industry develop? Look at what we are wearing. We grow cotton. Cotton goes to Europe and East Asia and returns as clothes that we buy. So the two quick things: promote the growth of the private sector. Two, make sure that in everything that we do, employment is at the heart of it. The issue of skills, as I said earlier, anyone with basic education can learn anything. At the time I came out of university, there were no courses on computer ICT. On ICT, it was not there. That course was not there. But the people who had done statistics or engineering are the ones who ended up in ICT, and they mastered all this. You have seen banks. I know in my country here, there are audit firms, global audit firms. They recruit anybody. Whether you have, you've studied history, whether you have, you've studied biology, as long as you have the right aptitude, they will take you on train you and make you the best accountant. What about the mechanics?
Thank you very much for that submission. Thank you very much for that submission. So we move already in the question and answer session. And because we're way behind time, we'll just take one question. I'll be calling, just to make it quite interactive, I would like you to, I'll call on one of the questions we have in the question box. So Emi Daniel Ojara, please kindly unmute yourself and let's see you. So I see that you have a question. Please ask. And this question, Mr. Amidu Hussein is around. I would like him to answer, and then we'll end this particular session. Please, Emi Daniel Ojara, if you're here and you wouldn't mind to, ask your question directly, please do so now.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. My question actually goes to the underprivileged. Because when you hear all these good discussions being presented, they are geared towards people who I would say successfully completed their education cycle. But of course, we have a number of youth who are talented in their various departments. And of course, many of them were deprived of chances for going to higher institutions to further their education. But they have the skills. They're professionals actually, but without the papers, without the accreditations from the higher education councils. So how can this youth be constituted into the job sector? I mean the formal job world, because I know once you are not educated, like back in my home country here, Uganda, you are only capable of maybe doing the border riding jobs. You are capable of going to constructions, but you can't work in public offices because at least you need to have certificates. At least you need to have papers from the universities. But some people never had the chance to study, but they have the skills, they had the trainings, they have these short courses done. So how can they be constituted into the formal job one? I mean the public offices. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much for that question. That was nice. Mr. Amadou, Hussein Amadou, please, are you available for us? I would like you to answer that question. So in the next 1 to 2 minutes, so we can end this session. That's another perspective to this.
Thank you. And that is why I want to go back to the issue of interest. If that is the man in question has interest in a particular field, not necessarily that he or she goes to school or not. The only thing that matters is to develop the interest that he has and make sure that you go to the right place to acquire skill, to be the best in that area of interest. So that in as much as possible, if there is a vacancy or there is an opportunity, for example, now, not every athlete or a footballer has a formal education. But because of their interest, they develop their interest and they acquire the necessary skills and they fit in for the work or the job they want to do because of their interest. And that is why I want to say that the interest is very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very short, concise answer. And I hope that if you're part of the audience and you have answers that you can share concerning the questions, please feel free to put it in the chat box. We're reading it, and once in a while, we'll just read out your answers. Thank you very much. As we move to the next thing in the agenda, so I would like to confirm if we have our video ready.
How do we create more and better jobs for young people in Africa, where over 80% of workers are in 2 sectors? Young women face greater barriers to gainful employment, and the youth population is expected to reach 850 million by 2050. African governments face significant challenges. Most young people are out of work. There are few high-paying jobs, and development strategies don't do enough for ordinary people. The African Center for Economic Transformation is working with the MasterCard Foundation to help these governments chart a path forward. The evidence is clear. Education is one of the main drivers of economic transformation. But African secondary education systems are failing to provide young people with the skills they need for current and future jobs. Policymakers and the private sector should work together to identify missing skills and create future-ready curricula. Targeted education initiatives are helping to ensure that girls and boys have the same opportunities and are reaching children who are currently left behind. Find out more on how countries can improve the access, quality, and relevance of their education systems to prepare a qualified workforce ready for the challenges of the future.
Thank you very much for the video. So the summary of the video is to show us the way forward, having discussed the bridging the gap between skills and knowledge, and what we think, what ACET as an institute thinks that these are the possible solutions to moving forward concerning that. So we'll move to the next session. It's quite tiring, but I hope we're not tired. We're almost getting to the end, and we have a lot of informative, educative things to discuss with one another on this platform. So the session 2 is about promoting digital skills. And we know that we are entering into the 4th industrial revolution. And we see that a lot of young people, especially the ones we say, oh, these are the generation, Gen Zs, they are coming, they have so much computerized skills. You see small children, 4 years of age, they're able to operate computers, phones, the things that in our own age we couldn't do. So we understand that we are moving towards that century where we're moving towards the period where everybody has to know a little bit about technology, have these digital skills. So we're going to be discussing promoting digital skills as part of our curriculum in schools, how much that has been achieved and how much of that we still need to achieve. And like before, I'll be introducing our panelists. I'll start in person with Melissa. So Melissa is the youngest panelist today, I think so. I'm quite sure about that. Yes, Melissa is a member of the junior wing of the Children and Youth in Broadcasting Curious Mind. She is 12 years of age and she's in class 6. Melissa has been the voice for a number of the program jingles, radio program jingles. She talks about being active participation of children in many issues concerning children. And she has also participated in a number of public engagements on children's rights and well-being. So Melissa, please, can we see you? Can we hear you? Hello, Melissa.
Hello.
Hello, nice to have you here. I can't wait to have to listen to what you have to say concerning promoting digital skills. Welcome once again, Melissa.
Thank you.
So aside from Melissa, we're also introducing another person. I'm going to be introducing Purity Mustatila, who is a young woman that's passionate about electronics engineering, education for young people, and menstrual health and hygiene for young girls. She's affiliated to Restless Development as a researcher and has contributed to a number of research reports, including the By Us, For Us, Rewiring Education for a New Generation. This was launched in 2021, and she's a graduate. She holds a bachelor's degree in telecommunication and electronics engineering, and she currently works as an assistant system engineer. Hello, Purity. Welcome to today's discussion.
Hi, Salama. Hi,
Hello,
Salama.
how are you doing? Yes, you're audible. We'd just like you to speak louder.
Oh, okay, great. So I am very fine, so delighted to join this meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome very much. Thank you. And the next person that'll be joining this panel of promoting digital skills is Fanta Dabo, who is an industrious young woman. She's a gender and environment activist, and currently she's pursuing a bachelor's degree in the University of the Gambia. And she's currently the program officer for the Young Volunteers for the Environment, gender focal person, and a speaker to the Combo East Youth and Children Development. Today, she'll be joining us on this discussion, promoting digital skills. Hello, Fanta. I know she's around here somewhere.
Hello. How are you?
Hello, welcome, Fanta. Thank you very much for joining us. And the last but not the least person that will be joining the discussion today. Remember, it is an intergenerational discussion. So we're going to have youth of different ages, different sectors. So the last person joining us today is Mustafa Abdulaziz, who is from northern region of Ghana. He has just recently completed his university education. He has a BSc in nursing, although not yet working as a professional nurse, is an entrepreneur, and he also teaches, he also does private teaching services to earn a living. So please, Mustafa, can you kindly speak with us? Hello, Mustafa. Are you? Hello, Mustafa.
Hi.
Hello, I can't see
Hi.
you.
I'm here.
Okay, well done. Welcome, everyone. And thank you guys for
thank you.
coming and gracing us with your presence. We get to, listen to you and to, you not hold back at all, letting us, have an idea of what you think concerning promoting digital skills today. Okay. So I'd like to start with Melissa. Hello, Melissa. So I'm going to be starting with you. You are in class 6 right now. So do you think that, have you ever been told about the 4th Industrial Revolution? Or do you know anything concerning the fact that we are switching from the analog generation to a more digitalized generation? What has been your exposure to digital systems?
The 4th Industrial Revolution is a term coined in 2016 by Klaus Schwab, who is the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. And it talks about technological developments, high-speed mobile internet and artificial intelligence, together with automation, the use of big data analytics and cloud technology. But I've never been taught about this in school.
Okay, so where did you get this information about? And what do you, like, aside from the creation, what do you think about you being a youth, being in your class? What do you think, how much of benefit do you think it would be if you are being exposed to this, being taught about this currently now as you're in school?
I read it on the internet and I watched it on television.
Okay. So do you think it would be an addition, there will be any benefits if you're being taught about this already as in your class, or even around your people around your age group already being sensitized to understand that there's a digitalized revolution coming soon, or already happening? We can see it happening. So do you think it would be an additional benefits for you?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Melissa, for your brief and concise answers. And move to Purity. Purity, you're an electronics engineer, and so you seem to be involved with the digital aspect, technology aspect, which is quite interesting. And so that's why I think this is really one of this panel is actually great that you're involved. So do you think that, first of all, how much of females, do you think there's a barrier for females becoming engineers, entering, learning about digital skills, entering into the technology space?
Thank you so much, Salama, for that question. And yes, well, to be honest, I'm the only female engineer in my department. And I know. And so I work with so many men, like every day, 50, 100 sometimes, because the company is huge. And to be honest, the learning system, the curriculum that we currently have in Zambia, and I would like to guess in other countries as well, doesn't necessarily support women.
Purity, we can't really hear you, so we need you to speak louder. I'm sorry, you might have to start from the beginning. We can't really hear what you have to say.
Okay, is this better?
A little bit, please. Let's try again.
Okay. So I was saying that I am the only female engineer in my department, actually. And so in my line of work, I work with so many men every day. And I would like to point out this, that our education to primary all the way to secondary doesn't really support women in learning. And this also attributes to the social norms that are there. And so it's even worse when it comes to learning digital skills. And to be honest, the most vulnerable are the young women and young girls in vulnerable societies, especially in rural areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Even though we lost some bit of what you had to say, I hope you can please try to increase the volume next time. Yes, so I'll stay on you, Purity. You said something about the fact that you're the only woman in the engineering, and it's actually so hard for females to, get into digital skills. What do you think are the barriers, and what do you think are the barriers, and what do you project might be a solution to, to teaching digital skills to everyone, regardless of the gender?
Okay, I hope I'm better. I hope I'm audible.
Your audible was still quite low. I don't know if you can move closer to your device.
Okay, let me try. Okay, there we go. So some of the barriers actually are that education, especially digital resources, are undersourced, in that government doesn't invest so much in digital resources. And even up to now, they did launch digital learning, digital skills, ICT learning in primary all the way to secondary school, but still not so many schools are actually employing digital learning. And it's because they are underfunded. So I think the biggest solution would be that government and stakeholders, policymakers, should try by all means to invest so much, because really, even as we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution, what we are moving towards too is a technological world, right? So this should be taken with so much urgency and be funded as it should. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Purity. Fanta, are you here?
Yeah.
So Purity said something that she thinks the major problem with digital skills actualization, or having gender in female gender representatives in digital skills, is because that area is not well funded, so that people are not being taught well enough from the primary school to secondary school. So do you agree with this thing? And what do you think is actually, what are the other things you think are the barriers concerning digital skills, making sure that the African youth are actually well equipped for the next generation?
Yeah, I think I have to agree with her on that aspect. But if I'm to agree, it has to be in another dimension. Because when you talk about investment, it is something that that it is very key. And then I know every government official or every government wants a development. So in order to have the proper development in the area of digital skills is a true investment. An investment in the area where that there will be equity and equality. So looking at digital skills, we all understand that in most cases, it is men that are often into skill businesses and the stuff like. So we have limited female because of what the motivation attached to it. So to me, the fastest way to grow and also to promote digital skills is to narrow that gap by giving equal opportunity for everybody, even if they're going to give the upper hands to the other gender, looking at the vulnerability aspect of it. And also trying to see how best they can invest and rebrand our educational system, because it all starts from the educational system. If the educational system is not modified in a way that it will promote digital skills, then we will not find ourselves into it, because you cannot jump from the primary school to the university and then you want to venture into something that that you have no clue about. So that means it needs to start from the underground, where the foundation lies. When people see to it that this is an area that that it requires a development, then investment needs to be part of it. And digital skills supposed not to be an exception.
Okay, so in quite summary, you think that we generally as a people have not really realized the importance of digital skills? Is that what you said, Fan? Okay.
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
Okay, so that's nice. That's a beautiful way to look at it. So what do you think? You said till we realize it, then we can talk about the investment. So do you think that how do you think we are going to make people realize the importance of digital skills? Because whether we like it or not, the world is changing. We're moving into the fourth industrial revolution. Things are becoming digitalized. So how do you think we can get African youth and the African people interested or understand the importance of digital skills?
Yeah,
that's to you, Fanta.
Sure. What I'm trying to say is, looking at every country, the leadership really matters a lot. We all understand the way the world is revolving, and African as a country have really a lot to do in order to catch up. So the only way out is for government to add motivation in the area of digital skills. Let the government look at possible ways in which they can empower people that are into digital skills. And even if people are not willing to, it is their responsibility, and it is our responsibility as well. Being parents, being government, let us see how best we can put that interest in people that this is the thing, this is the way the world is moving. And we cannot be relying on this subsistence agriculture. We cannot be relying on things that, that might not be giving us that avenue or a capital that we can go in a long way to have our own sustainability development. But we can look at it in a direction that that it is more sustainable, and then we can connect with the wider world. So digital skill is a constant, and then it's something that that we should look at various ways in which to empower people. If suppose that like we've seen funding or other things, like people are investing more in the area of digital skills, I'm sure a lot of African youth will definitely devote their time in order to get into digital skills.
Okay, nice. That's a very interesting perspective and a call for action. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mustafa. Hello, Mustafa. Are you still there? Hello,
yes,
Mustafa.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, Mustafa, as a professional nurse now, even though you're yet to start working as a professional nurse, you've had some quite experience working as a nurse and being in from your educational career. Did you hear me?
I didn't hear you very well, so please can you come over?
Oh, okay. I said that being a professional nurse, do you think that the fourth industrial revolution, that is digitalization, the digitalized century, and digital transformation in general, do you think is going to affect the future of your work and career, basically?
Of course. The digital revolution, the fourth industrial revolution, has so much affected nursing as a profession. In the hospital settings, we now have digital devices that are used, and we are almost accepting that telemedicine. We have this we call telemedicine, where even medical services are rendered to clients at the confines of their houses, or student nurses are tutored even in a university outside their home country. In fact, very practical learning can be rendered through this telemedicine.
Hello, Mustafa. Hello? Okay, well, I think we lost Mustafa over there. He was talking about telemedicine. Yeah, telemedicine is a medium whereby you can sit in your home and consult with healthcare professionals. So Melissa, you said you've not been taught about fourth industrial revolution. You've checked on internet and the likes. What do you think what digital skills would you like to learn currently as being in school? What digital skills do you think is going to be nice for you to be taught as at now in your level in your class?
I'd like to be taught digital marketing or social marketing, business data analytics, and coding.
That's nice. So, but you're quite accustomed with basic use of computer, how to navigate your way around any computer devices, right? So learning how to navigate around computer devices, was this something that was taught in school, or was this something you self-taught yourself? You learned while at home with your older ones? Is that what you did?
I learned it from playing with my parents' phones and watching TV.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Thank you. Fanta, you wanted to say something? Are you still interested in saying something?
Yeah, I want to say something that has to do with also research. I think it is something that, you know, that it is very important. African countries, it's the African continent in general, people should be engaged in research. We know our environment better, and then we know the solution to our environment, despite the fact that digital skill is important. But when we put it in line with our own standards, I think we will go a long way in investing in our own continent, establishing things in our own continent, and then empowering our own people. That's what I want to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that submission. And oh, yeah, Purity.
Yes, I just had like a brilliant thought that I thought I should share with you. I'm sorry.
So
Yeah,
I think you're going to be the last panelist speaking for this session, so we can move swiftly to have the policymaker comment. So please go ahead.
Okay, so like just to add on what I think every panelist has mentioned, and I think
I can't hear you. You're
important.
breaking. Start again, please. Sorry, we can't hear you.
Okay. So I just want to add on what every panelist has said in this session. And I think something that is very important and something that I would like to see is that the content creators, the curriculum, digital skills curriculum creators should incorporate local languages as a tool for young people, especially the ones that can, especially those in countries whose English is not the first language. So like the digital skills and the digital resources should be in a way that they are made to serve or to teach in the various local languages. And I think it's something that I haven't seen, but I think it would be a wonderful learning tool for young children. So, thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. That's quite an interesting one. You want the incorporation of teaching students in local languages rather than the usual. Okay, Mustafa, I can see your hand up. I'll be back to you, but I would like to introduce Dr. Christine to this discussion. She has been the head of Department of ICT in Education at Rwanda Basic Education Board since February 2018. She's responsible for ICT in education policy implementation in basic education. She leads digital content development aligned to national curriculum, competency-based curriculum. She has a PhD in computer and systems engineering. And prior to joining Rwanda Basic Education Board, she was a computer engineering lecturer at the University of Rwanda. So Dr. Christian, if you're here, we would love to have you put in some, give us some bit of information concerning promoting digital skills in our education curriculum. Hello, Dr. Christian. Is she here?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome.
Okay, great. Thank you for the floor. I've been following different discussions that happened, but not all. I had some interruption in between. And I'm glad to speak about becoming, to me, digitally literate. So as far as basic education is concerned, like what we call K-12, whereby learners get the basic skills that will take them to higher learning, for example, to technical vocation schools. That's the basis whereby we need to make our learners digitally literate so that in the future they don't need to learn digital skills. They have to get this at basic level. So like in the case of Rwanda, we have competence-based curriculum whereby we provide ICT-related courses, basically ICT courses, starting from primary level in the primary 4. The primary 4 is like, it's like 7-8 years old. That's when learners start to interact with digital gadgets such as computers. In the early age, P1, P2, P3, as well as nursery, learners don't really go into like computer or tablet. They just use them as play kits, just like play kits. And for computer, they don't interact with that. So we started the curriculum, which is based on competence since 2015. And we've run it for the past almost 7 years. And now we are revising, basically we are updating it to include even coding and robotics starting from P1. So when we speak about digital, to me, becoming digital literate, it doesn't mean that someone has to be a computer scientist, computer engineer, or something like that. First of all, it's having that basic skills, being able to use digital tools. For example, in our daily life, in whatever we do. Because when we speak 21st century learning skills, or just 21st century life, we need to be digitally literate, because all we do is based on digital tools. We apply for exam for the job. We do the exam for the job online. We do interviews online. If we don't have such basic digital skills, it will be difficult to get into the gate that will take us in the further steps. So I think we need to, first of all, start this at early age so that our learners, when they get to higher learning or to TVET, technical vocation schools, they are ready with that. They get there, they start just their subject matter. If they are engineers, civil engineers, if they are teachers, if they are going to be doctors, they are not they get there equipped with basic digital skills. I had someone, I think before I start to speak, someone who spoke before me mentioned something about telemedicine. So we don't need to teach digital skills to our doctors. Of course, for seniors that you have now who did not have the chance to get this, we train them on job, in service, but we should better start at early age training future doctors, equip them with digital skills so that when they get into the hospital, they don't want to spend much time on, side issues, rather go into substance of, supporting their patient using different available tools. So when it comes to secondary school, that's after completing primary, we also offer ICT as just a course from senior 1 up to senior 6, whereby for all specializations or combinations, as we call them, this helps learners sometimes for those interested, to even go dig deeper into digital skills at the level of learning, even coding. And sometimes, this is a skill that someone has with the other main skill that he has learned from school, and he can use that coding skill to get money from different other jobs like freelancer online and so on. So I think as African youth, we really, I mean, for African youth, I'm also still, I think, in the maybe late age of youth. For African youth, we really need to equip them with these digital skills. We make them literate digitally so that they become confident to search knowledge online, to be able to get different skills from, let's say, from internet. Sometimes we don't have chance, you know, to stay in school that long or to get whatever we need from the school. However, we have an open school, which is internet. Without that digital skills, it will be difficult to navigate, get whatever we want from internet. So I think through discussions, we can interact more and probably provide more insight on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that submission. And I think that it's quite important that in formative years, that's when children are still young, they are being taught and introduced to ICT digital skills, because we know that these are the times that most of the changes that we need to make can be made. So thank you very much for your outlook on this concept. And we'll be moving to the question and answer session. So I'll see if we have any question here. Okay. So we have an online poll that comprises of 3 questions. Please kindly answer them as soon as possible. We'll still refer back to
I think for the question in French, ICT skills shall be taught at the early age in primary and secondary. And then at university, I don't think higher learning learners are supposed to have this. They would rather use it to learn deeply their core subject. If we had this at early age, we don't need it at university. I'm trying to, if you can read questions for me. That's the one I saw from Helman.
Okay. So I think we have a question that says that, do you think that computer science should be taught as a course on its own, or can it be adapted into the school or university subject? So is it that what I'm trying to sense from this question is the person wants to know why if computer science should just be a course that, those who want to learn it should go into the course, or should it be adapted as one of the subjects that maybe a doctor could even take as part of the courses that the doctor would have to offer, so that if that can help to promote digital skills. I think that's the question the person is asking. So Dr. Christian, this is for you.
Yes. Yeah. So I think when you speak computer science, it's quite broad. To me, there is a specialization as computer science for those who are going to learn algorithm and coding for different programming languages, for example, and some other advanced tools. That's a specialization that someone takes probably from senior 4, for example, at 16 years old. There is also what we call ICT course, or ICT skills course. And this is more a generic course to everyone, but it's provided to all field, and it provides digital skills that can help everyone, to cope up with any basic tools, ICT tools. So I think we have to differentiate both. And someone who is going to specialize in computer science basically is supposed to have this ICT course in early age. For example, in Rwanda, it's a compulsory course, ICT course that learners have until senior 3. And now we are revising the curriculum, and we are basically adding the similar course a bit advanced, to all levels in senior 4 up to senior 6. But it's just, it's not a specialization, it's just basic skills. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think the final question today, and we end this session. This question, I want you to also be the one to answer it, because it says that how can the high cost and lack of affordability and access to ICT tools be addressed? Because when going through the chat, a lot of people have a submission that there's so much, that one of the big barriers is to digital skills because of the high cost of the internet. So it makes it very hard for young people and women in Africa to be able to access or use the internet or have digital skills or learn it. So someone is then asking, how do we, how can we address this high cost and lack of affordability, which is an access, basically, the high cost and the access to ICT tools? How can this be addressed? Please, you can help us do the submission in 1 to 2 minutes so we can move on.
Yeah. I think that's a critical issue we have in the developing countries. First of all, the basic infrastructure. If you don't have electricity, then it's even impossible to use a computer or having internet. So, and once we have it, sometimes it's difficult or very expensive to afford computers and the internet. So what I can really advise is that countries tries to negotiate with manufacturers of computers and set some local manufacturing plant whereby they may provide sort of affordable devices. I know that economy of scale, while providing these devices to different users in a country, will allow manufacturers to afford setting such plant in the countries. I think this is something we've tried here in Rwanda, and it was really successful. And the government obviously made agreement with that manufacturer so that the young population that we find in school, basically, that are those who start using those devices. I think regarding internet usually is not that expensive when devices are available. I'm seeing telecom companies that are coming to Africa, and there are different packages, including zero rating, some services that are provided within the country. And these are usual negotiation. And many organizations, NGOs, UN organizations like UNICEF, I know that through Giga Connect, they're trying to connect all schools, for example, across the world, basically, and the communities around the schools. So I think device is going to be maybe the challenging part of the game. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for letting this be an interacting, interesting session. It's been like 2 hours we've been here, and we have one more session to go. Before then, I would just like to ask anyone in the audience, let me go through the participants just to tell us how you've been enjoying these sessions and what's on the 1 or 2 lessons you've probably taken along with you. To Salifu. So, okay, Ayomide Akintobi, talking permitted, so you can go ahead.
Okay, yes, this section has been very interesting, has been very enlightening, I must say. And even though I have a lot of things that, well, a bit of maybe a little disagreement with what has been said, but I think I have also learned a lot about digital literacy and about how young people in Africa need to acquire skills that will make them a formidable force for the 4th industrial revolution and for a formidable workforce. Yes, and the speakers have really tried to, can you hear me, please?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So you have about 30 seconds more to speak.
Okay. Let me conclude by saying this is very good, and I must commend everyone for this great initiative. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for giving us the chance to hear your voice and joining this conversation. Thank you very much. Okay, so we move to the last session for today. It's been a long day, but this is quite an interesting session. We'll be discussing enhancing soft skills. And as usual, I'll be introducing the panelists. So please, as I introduce you, please can you put unmute yourself, put on your video, and let's see you. So I'll start with Seidu Ibrahim, who Seidu Ibrahim just completed Wenchi Senior High School last year and is waiting to be admitted to Wesley College of Education, Kumasi. He's a visually impaired person, and today he will be joining this conversation. Hello, Seidu, are you here?
Yeah, hi, madam.
Thank you very much. The next person coming up on this panel discussion, enhancing soft skill, is Karen E. Roberts, who is a junior student at the Stella Maris Polytechnic University in Liberia. She's currently studying environmental science. Hello, Karen, how are you? Hello, Karen. Okay. Welcome. Can you hear me? Hello, welcome. Thanks for gracing us with your presence today. Yes, the next person I'll also be calling to this panel is Haruna Mahama. Haruna Mahama is an accountant and a farmer. He's passionate about youth in entrepreneurship and agriculture. Hello, Haruna. If you're here, please let's see you and hear you. Haruna?
Hello, Madam Salam.
Hello, how are you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can
I'm fine,
hear
thank you, sir. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for joining
I can
us.
hear you very well.
And last but not the least person that's joining us today on this panel discussion talking about enhancing soft skills, Mabai Tabe Edrig. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce it well. He's a young Chandian of 21 years. He has a degree in English literature and is a former participant of Pan-African Youth Leadership Program and is also the representative of Youth of Chad at the 9th World Water Forum in Senegal. He's passionate about education, community involvement, nature, environment, and politics. And so today would also be discussing with him concerning enhancing soft skills, one of the things about skills and education for the future. Welcome to everyone on the panel. Seidu, Karen, Haruna, and Mabai Tabe wants to join us. Once again, thank you very much for gracing us with your presence. So let's go to today's discussion. So I'll be starting with Haruna. So you're an accountant and a farmer. That's quite interesting. Do you currently, what you do right now, do you currently work as an accountant in any organization?
Yes, madam, I do.
You do. So do you think that soft skills actually are an important component of being an employable youth or an employable person? What do you think about soft skills in general? Fanta, you have something to say, please. Can you just say it in 1 to 2 minutes? Thank you.
Yeah, regarding your question, soft skills, they're very important. And when you look at the educational system, I don't think it is being promoted in the school because people are mostly focused on what they get. That is the grade and the stuff like. And then these soft skills are the skills that will help us in our daily interactions with the people within us and then outside. Looking at the skill of teamwork, a lot of people find it difficult to connect because of what? It's not because they don't want to, but because they didn't have that atmosphere in the school. So this goes to the school administrations. This goes to the government. It is their responsibility and it is our responsibility to have those kind of avenues within the school. A lot of people get other skills like communication skills based on the extracurricular activities. And then some people did not give weight to this extracurricular activity. If you're not part of them, you might not be able to know what to do. But if you're part of them, you will be able to boost yourself and your understanding. But the fact is, even at school, some teachers would not even promote students to be part of this extracurricular activity because we see to it that they are waste of time and it is not academic strategic. So it is our responsibility. It is the government responsibility. It is the school responsibility to make sure that soft skills are in the school system and they are promoted as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So your submission is that soft skills should be incorporated into the school system and should be promoted. Thank you very much for that. So I'm still checking. Please, Aruna, Clarine, anyone here? So I'll also go through the comments that we have. Hello, Haruna, are you back?
Hello.
Yes, hello. If you can hear me,
I want to disable my video, sir.
What?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Okay, so yes, we were discussing about soft skills before you left, and even though we've moved from talking about the importance of soft skills, we want to know what you think, if soft skills should be incorporated into the school curriculum, if they are well taught currently, and how do you think that should the incorporation of soft skills into school curriculum should happen?
Okay.
I'm going to read out what Emmy Daniel Jera said in the chat box. Said, I think schools are not teaching enough basic soft skills. With the exception of primary or elementary school levels, the teaching of soft skills dies gradually as one furthers their studies. Soft skills are key to employability because one can perform best when they have the skills regardless of the papers or academic credentials that they possess. You know, a lot of times you might have so much knowledge, but if you're not able to communicate that out, a lot of people would not be able to appreciate the wealth of knowledge that you hold. I think with this, we're actually running behind. Okay, let me see. Okay. So I would like Ramatu Salifu. Please speak if you can.
Well, I'm Ramatu Salifu, a teacher from Ghana and visually impaired. It's so exciting being a part of this family. All right, so diving into the discussion on board soft skills, I think as a teacher, I think that soft skills are very, very imperative in all spheres of life. When we talk about soft skills, we see that we go with soft skills wherever we find ourselves. But I think much is not being done when we come to soft skills. I think in our education sector, in our corporate bodies, or all over, we are not really paying much attention to soft skills, forgetting that without soft skills, we cannot really achieve or accomplish what we really have to do. Whatever we are able to come up with is as a result of what? Soft skills. So I think that as today we are doing here, we can, from time to time, have conversations on soft skills. The government, the stakeholders, individuals, women and children, everybody inclusive, so that everybody will have that wider knowledge on soft skills. So we cannot do it once. It's a gradual process. So maybe next time we have a dialogue here on soft skills, maybe communication skills, writing skills, public speech, so that gradually we will get there. At least we get a few people who are good in some particular areas for them to spearhead this soft skills acquisition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ramatu. I love where you came from. That's a very good submission. Okay, so I see a lot of hands. I will go to George Kwako. I'm sorry if I'm unable to pronounce it.
Hello, I'm using this is Bezalel, though I'm using the same laptop with George. The soft skills is very key. So in the current, again, I speak as a coordinator for curriculum and instruction at the Ministry of Education. We have the soft skills as in the standard-based curriculum for the kindergarten and the basic 1 to basic 6. So also it is integrated in the common core curriculum for junior high schools. So when you go to it, you look at the strand, sub-strand, content standards, indicators and the examples as in the curriculum for various subjects. You see it's properly streamlined. What is a bit of a challenge is how to teach it. So the teachers have to make frantic efforts. For instance, how to teach teamwork, how to teach communication. The teacher, in an attempt to teach them, should be able to make sure that the kids inculcate this into the kids, so that they will be able to imbibe it and becomes part and parcel of them. It's the teaching aspect of it which is a bit difficult, but the teachers have been helped as to how to teach it, as in the teacher resource pack. So the kids are also being helped as to how to learn it, as in the learner's resource pack. But again, one aspect of a soft skill is that of parents also have to help in terms of socialization at homes. Years back, or even currently, a way to learn the soft skills is do it at home and pick it up. How do you work in a team? The parents will be able to teach their kids to work in the team. How do they communicate with one another? So these are various ways of doing it. But for now, at least it's been made part of the standard-based curriculum, and also that of the Common Core, and the current curriculum being developed for the senior high schools is being put in it. So we have it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that submission. And I think I'll just take the last two persons and we'll end this. Ayomide, please, you can speak now. Thank you. Please, you have one minute. Just 1 minute. Thank you.
All right.
Yes,
thank you
please.
so much. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, everyone has talked about the importance and significance of soft skills, and I will first make a comment that I think soft skills are not really taught in our institutions, especially our institutions, because we have critical thinking, we have public speaking, creative writing, and so on. But let me make this point before I end it, that despite whatever anybody studies, creative thinking is what brings the innovation and makes one different. Somebody said that if we all have everything equal in life, one thing still sets us apart, and that's the way we think. Take, for instance, in Africa, I can give examples in Africa, especially Nigeria, of young creatives, young people who have made use of just creative thinking and even making great exploits in their field. I know of a young Nigeria who studied chemistry, okay, and invented a fire retardant paint that could drastically reduce the risk of fire outbreak. We have other people. We have a company called Thrive Agric, which is a platform that connects farmers across the world and offers a platform where commodities, agricultural commodities, are sold and so on. So I think despite whatever one has learned or whatever field one finds oneself, the most important, or one of the most important skills I think one can acquire that can make a difference is critical thinking. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ayomide, for that submission. And to our last submission for the day, to crown everything, is from Esther Mbabi. Please, Esther, you can speak now. You have just 1 minute to contribute to this because we would like to round up the session.
My name is Esther Mbabi from Nigeria. And I would like to say that, yes, I agree with what Kintobi talked about, where he was talking about how, Ayomide rather, he was talking about how no matter what you study, you need to be building soft skills. So I finished from the Department of Statistics in the Sciences faculty, but I work as a broadcast journalist and as a creative writer and as a public speaker. So I think that at the end of the day, what you need to be doing is, while in school, be gaining skills that you need to succeed in the labor market. So I started volunteering from my first year in university, working for free and attending conferences that I knew I wanted to learn from. So I think that it is necessary as students in Africa, in Nigeria or Africa generally, to be building soft skills right from your days in the university, because the curriculum is the curriculum. At the end of the day, you need to build a life outside of the curriculum. Thank you.
Okay, yes, Esther, before you go. So we know we have to build a life outside of the curriculum, but we are talking about having an encompassing curriculum, a curriculum that, gives space for everyone to learn. Not every person is able to, go out of their way to learn this. I think like Aminata said, Fanta said, we are so much concerned about our grades, degrees, that a lot of people would focus on that rather than build the soft skills. But if the schools would actually inculcate this into the curriculum, it might maybe help more of the percentage of people to actually develop the soft skills. I think this is how we're looking at it. And I understand your submission, but we are saying that is it a thing that we know it's quite important and we know how you can go about developing it, but we think that schools should also inculcate this into the curriculum. And thanks for your contribution. And I think that's the end for today, for our conversation today. Esther, do you have anything to say?
Yes, I did want to say I agree. Schools should definitely include it into the curriculum. But I'm thinking that even if it is included, it will not be included extensively. So there'll still be work to be outside of the curriculum. But yes, you're definitely. I think it already exists. We have class presentations, we have project presentation in final year, and all of these things. We do all that with our public speaking ability, our communication ability, our creative thinking ability. But at the end of the day, it's just a small part. It's not extensive enough for us to fully get a grasp on soft skills.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, I also say that I think when I was in my final year, it became something that was introduced. We started to do problem-based learning and the like. So thank you very much, everyone, for today. Thank you for sticking to us with this time. And despite the network challenges, every one of us here has been here from the beginning to the end. So I say a very big thank you. And I also want to say thank you to ACET for organizing this, MasterCard for partnering with us, and I would like to introduce the person of Dr. Edward Brown, who is going to take over from me and wrap up this conversation. Dr. Edward K. Brown, the Senior Director, Research and Policy Engagement at ACET. He has more than 35 years experience in international development and public policy, half of which we spent at the World Bank. He has worked extensively in Africa, Eastern Europe, and Central Asia. Currently, he manages a team of ACET in-house senior policy advisors, researchers, and economists, and also drawing on a worldwide pool of expertise to assist African policymakers respond to specific changes and opportunities with the explicit goals of transferring knowledge, building local capabilities, and spurring economic growth and transformation. His main interests are in public policy, economic management, public resources mobilization and expenditure management. He holds a PhD and MA in development economics and demography from the University of Pennsylvania. And today he'll be here to wrap up this event for us. So please, Dr. Edward Brown, you own the stage now. Hello.
Thank you so much, Salama. I think this has been quite an insightful conversation. So I want to congratulate everyone. This is ACET's maiden intergenerational dialogue on the theme skills education for the future. I would like to express on behalf of ACET and on my own personal behalf, our appreciation to the panelists, to the moderator in particular, Salama. You've been able to do a wonderful job in spite of all the challenges of technology that seems to have pose some issues for some of us, listening to the deliberation so far. My deepest gratitude goes to MasterCard, our team at ACET, organization, individuals, and our audience. At the time, I think I saw about 89 participants online. And of course, it has, at the moment, I think
actually had about 104 at a point.
Oh, okay. And now we have about 64. And it shows how interesting this conversation has been for so many people, over 2/3 still, hanging in and listening to the conversation. So I want to congratulate you all for this good effort. I just wanted to summarize 3 key points because we had three panel discussions. One on the disconnect between knowledge and skills offered in the labor market, and the training and education system. And I think this theme ran through the whole conversation. I mean, as we went along, digital transformation and also the issues of soft skills. And I think this is one area where a lot more needs to be done. I would encourage everyone to read the synthesis report of the strengthening education systems in Africa for the fourth industrial revolution, which we produced. It just came out, I think it's on the website, financed by MasterCard Foundation. I think it goes in depth into some of these issues. You know, we had 6 country studies, and so we're able to tease out some of the challenges and the common issues, the experiences and successes and lessons learned from these studies. So I would encourage the participants and all others to read that. It will give some further insights. But notwithstanding, I think this conversation has provided even further insights and deepened our knowledge about the challenges that we all face in trying to improve education, create jobs, and so on for in Africa generally. So I think this is an area where we need to work a little bit on. And here, public policy needs to inform it. And I hear from I think it was the head of ICT in Uganda that made a point about the importance of investments in this area and so on. The whole issue of digital transformation, I think that is so critical. It should be embedded in all systems and processes, because today Africa lags behind the world in terms of digital connectivity. And the whole issue of connectivity across Africa that goes beyond just national boundaries needs to be looked at. So there's a need for collaborative arrangement among countries to ensure digital connectivity is good. And we are eloquent testimony to that challenge now, because in this conversation, we had people from Nigeria, Gambia, Liberia, Ghana, and Senegal and all that. And we could see how the challenges of connectivity didn't allow us to effectively benefit more from the conversation than it would have been. So that underscores the importance of the infrastructure and the whole issue of beginning to see how you can connect rural areas. The COVID pandemic demonstrated and laid bare the challenges that we face in terms of the asymmetry between the rural and the urban areas, because the urban areas had electricity, the rural areas may not have, and therefore children in those areas would not benefit from digital connectivity. So it's a very critical thing to do. And I think the last point that was made, in the session, the third session on soft skills is extremely important. And in that regard, I just wanted to congratulate the team for having the discussion, for having provided some useful insights into how soft skills should be undertaken. More importantly is that it has to be integrated into the curriculum. Similarly, the whole issue of counseling, because I heard earlier on that, what is more important is interest. But interest comes because you have the knowledge about what exists out there, and then you can develop the interest in those areas that you want. But if you don't have the knowledge, how do you develop the interest? So it's very, very important that we integrate a certain number of skills into the education system, particularly secondary and technical and vocational training schools, in order to ensure that the workforce that is coming out are future ready. Beyond that also is the transition between school and work. And that whole space where a lot of students drop out needs to be carefully studied to integrate non-formal education into the formal system, to recognize some of the training that are provided in the informal sector. So I think these are very critical. And I believe that if we all continue to have this conversation and engage with leadership, and I think the policymakers are increasingly becoming more aligned to these challenges and therefore are reforming the policies and also trying to develop the implementation to ensure that you can begin to address the issues of employment and decent jobs in particular. So let me once again thank you all. It has been a very insightful, quite lively conversation, albeit challenged by the digital connectivity that we all face. But I think we all recognize this challenge, and our governments are going to increasingly support those efforts to ensure that we can have a fair level playing field for everyone. So thanks again, and I want to, congratulate everyone again. Bye-bye.